It's book club. If you know me, I'm the type of person to have multiple ideas when it comes to entertaining or getting the thoughts out of my mind. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to have a book club with you. So what I'll be doing is on Thursdays, I'll be putting up the regular videos, and once a month on the Friday, I'll be doing a book from my bookshelf. Where this came from, this desire to read, is not a natural thing. When I was younger, I would read a lot, but I find as I got older, it got harder and harder to read books for leisure. Like, my biggest problem was I would start a book and then I would stop it. So I would like maybe reach either a quarter of the book and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna really finish this book, it's really interesting, and I would just stop it. Or I'd get to almost halfway and I would change my mind and start another book, or go on Instagram, go on Facebook, go on Twitter. And that was one of my biggest issues. The second one was whether I was interested in the book or not, because there are a few different books I was interested in when I was a kid. I would love to read Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys. When I was a little bit older, when in like the middle school or high school, I would read a lot more like Agatha Christie and John Grisham. Like, I loved like that crime thriller. John Grisham, low key, very good. Some of his stuff. I think my favorite is The Testament, but like lack of interest, and then also like time. Sometimes I wouldn't even like invest the right amount of time in reading a book, because sometimes I realize I'm not the type of guy to read a 300-page book in 2 weeks. I'm not that guy, but I'm trying to find out a perfect solution and a perfect time frame in which I can finish a book, and that is restricting myself to at least doing one book in a 1 month span. So the books I'll be doing for this month, because I figured I'd make it nice and easy for myself starting out. So there's 2 books that I have stopped and started, but I've never completed. So the first one is by John Piper. It's called Risk is Right. The tagline is, better to lose your life than to waste it. And I've always been interested. I've started the book and it got really good, and I would make notes, and then all of a sudden I would just not finish the book. So this book is quite small, as you can see. So from this point until the end of April, I'm going to finish these readings. So this book is no longer than, it's literally 50 pages. How could I not finish 50 pages? I don't understand that. But anyways, I'm going to be doing Risk is Right by John Piper. If you want to read it along with me, you can always find a PDF somewhere. It's pretty simple on the internet nowadays. And I'm also going to be reading Bennett. One of the other areas that I loved reading as a child was I loved reading biographies about like Canadian prime ministers from like the early days. I'll just read a little snippet. Here it goes. In the late 1920s, Canada's economy was sliding into depression. Life savings were evaporating, unemployment was rising, and exports were falling. On the strength of a promise to blast Canada's way into the world's market and thus stop the economy's downward spiral, Richard Bedford Bennett defeated Mackenzie King at the polls on July 28, 1930, and assumed the leadership of the country. Over the next 5 years, however, Bennett's name became synonymous with the worst of the Depression. A few years ago when I heard that, I'm just like, what? How have I never heard about this guy? So I've always wanted to finish it. This one's a bit more thick, so I'm definitely going to have to work my way through it. The biography is written by John Boykin. If you can see that right there. It's nice and thick. So this book is... This is like touching 500 pages. Can I finish it? Yes, I will. We're going to do this. So I'm going to read 2 books. I'm reading Bennett by John Boykin, and I'm reading Risk is Right by John Piper. There's a lot of Johns that write books. I don't know if any of you are big readers. I know that the common trend nowadays is the most that you'll read is an article attached on Twitter, or an article that's linked in the bio on IG. You know, always on the story, they're always like link in the bio. So I want to challenge you, because here's the thing. I want to better myself in reading, and I don't want libraries to go extinct. I feel like we owe it to the librarians who work hard to read some books, like to go to the library, take out some books. I've purchased some. Maybe you'll find these books in the library. You can read along with me. So from this point, which is March 21st to the end of April, I'm going to be finishing these 2 books. Next book club, I'll be doing a 2-parter. So it'll be the summarization and the main points of this, and then I'll be introducing the next book. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for the next episode of Book Club. My name is Jazz. Like this video if you like to read, or if you want to read. And if you don't want to read, challenge yourself to read. Subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys soon.